I'm here in beautiful Colombia. Maybe this isn't a great way to start a quarantine video. Scratch that, it's the perfect way to start a quarantine video because I want people to stay happy and healthy while we are being trapped within whatever country or home you are stuck in. What's up everybody? If you don't know me, my name is Nicholas Demski from the Single Dad Nomad, and on this channel we talk about living better worldwide. That includes the gear, the income, and the inspiration you need to live your best life wherever you want. Don't forget to check me out on some of my other channels. It's at the Single Dad Nomad. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. In this video, I want to talk about things we can do during quarantine to either pass our time joyfully or to improve our skills and ourselves. We've got the free time to do it, so let's dive into the video right now. So one of the first things that I would recommend everyone do while they are stuck in quarantine is learn a new skill. And one of the skills that I would recommend is video. Anybody can still make a YouTube channel. You could still blow up on TikTok. You could still make videos for Facebook or Instagram. Another reason you might want to learn how to make video during quarantine is just that it's quite fun. I've made a lot of videos about my life with my daughter and some of the adventures that we've gone on. If you want to make video, I recommend that you actually have a computer that works. I started off with a MacBook Air and it didn't have enough power to edit a lot of the video that I was shooting, but I did learn how to first start making video on that MacBook Air using the free program iMovie. Since then, I've upgraded to Adobe Premiere Pro, and if you want to check that out, I actually have a link down in the description box that you can check out for a free week trial, and then you can sign up if you want to after that. Now, when we talk about the gear you need to make videos, everything is going to be down in the description box, so you can check those out. For microphones, you can see I'm using a lapel microphone here, but I also use a Blue Yeti when I'm shooting podcast style videos. I have a light behind the camera here. It's a 16-inch ring light that works really well to illuminate basically any room. And the camera that I'm using right here is the GoPro 6. So it just shows that you don't need a really new camera. You don't need a camera that's specifically built for vlogging. My GoPro works just fine as long as you attach it to a microphone, because actually the audio kind of sucks on these cameras. If you're confused and don't know where to start learning video, getting onto YouTube and just typing in how to shoot YouTube videos will work for you. You can also get onto Skillshare or Udemy to really learn from people who are teaching in a more professional way. Again, more links down in the description box for those platforms. So all that video making equipment is the new age stuff. Let's talk a little bit about some old-fashioned toys that you might be able to get into. For example, if you have some space outside like this, why not consider getting something like a kite and learning how to fly it? I also remember back in the 4th grade or 5th grade, yo-yos became really popular and they were quite fun. There's all kinds of tricks you can do with them, and you can spend some time learning that. Same thing with juggling. You could learn how to juggle within like a couple hours. If you have any old board games, why not get back into those? Make sure you have all the pieces and you actually know the rules. Also, dig through some of your old toys as a kid. Do you have any Lincoln Logs or anything like that you could get back into? The point is, there's all kinds of old-fashioned toys. You don't need to be on your computer learning videos. There's other things you can do to entertain yourself every day during a quarantine. And for some of those toys, I'll again link down to them in the description box in case you want to pick some up. It's not just games that you could get into as well. There are plenty of other ways you can entertain yourself without having to use electronics. For example, I recommend learning an instrument. A few simple instruments that you might be able to pick up quickly are the guitar, the ukulele, or the hand drum. Now, for good guitar lessons and things like that, you can find them on YouTube, but you can also go to websites like Fender.com and they have their own professional classes on how to get started. But probably the easiest instrument is the hand drum. You could get a djembe, a bongo, any instrument like this, and you can learn how to play it in probably 5 minutes. They're so simple. And they're really fun to play, especially if you get into groups with people and do drum circles, which is not something you should be doing during the quarantine, but if you're practicing now, once the quarantine's over, it's something you could enjoy. Again, I'll link you up in the description box to things like that. Not everything you do during the quarantine has to necessarily be a new skill you have to learn. It doesn't have to be something you need to put hours and hours and hours into in order to be good at. In fact, the next thing that I would recommend that you do during quarantine is get yourself a VR system. I don't have one myself, but I did get to try one out at Best Buy, and I can tell you that it is intense. I put on the headset over my head. It covers your ears, so you're surrounded by all the sounds, and you have these little grips as well that you can control your hands. So VR systems basically take an electronic form of some world and completely immerse you into it. I started doing this rock climbing program, and then there was one point where I went to go grab a grip and his hand slipped and my character started falling and my knees legitimately buckled because it just feels so real. And if you want to do something inside during this quarantine, get yourself a VR system. You can travel the world in it, you can rock climb, you can play magic games, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So again, I will link down in the description box for a VR system. If you would rather spend your time building your skills and learning something, why not use this time to learn another language? There are free programs that you can get online. For example, Duolingo is really good, and it's a program that will get you started at least with the basics. Of course, you could move up into the paid programs like Rosetta Stone, that's really popular in the United States. There's also Babbel, which works well online, and that's something I recommend. It's a great program. Again, I'll link you down into the description box. Moreover, while you're learning these languages, I recommend you could get onto Netflix. You can switch everything into whatever language you're learning. You can start listening to music in that language as well. As long as you are practicing listening and speaking and reading and writing, you can learn any language you want while you are in quarantine. You don't just have to commit yourself to another language though, you could also improve your current language. And you can do that by reading and reading a lot. There are a few different programs that I recommend for reading, and I will link them to you down in the description box. The first one is Kindle Unlimited. If you don't know, you can get on the Kindle, and if you have the unlimited subscription, there are all kinds of books. You can just keep reading and reading and reading for one low monthly fee. To accompany that, you can also use Audible. That gives you the audio versions of the books, and I really like these while I'm working out or while I'm cooking, or when I get up in the morning and I don't necessarily want to use my eyes, I just want to listen and write perhaps. Another platform that's kind of like Audible but condenses books down into 15-minute shorts is Blinkist. So you won't get all the information that you want out of maybe some of the most popular nonfiction books at this time, but you will get a great rundown in 15 minutes so you can consume the content of 6 or 7 books in an afternoon. Lastly, just read real books. If you have them in your house, if your parents have some books, grab them, read them. It's my favorite way to read. It's better than reading on a screen, in my opinion. Let me recommend you some books real quick that I really like. If you like some travel and adventure books, I recommend A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. Also, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. If you're more into books about fantasy, you could get the Game of Thrones books by George R.R. Martin. It's an entire series. You could get the Night Angel trilogy by Brent Weeks. That's really good. It's a lot about magic. Or consider reading The Hunger Games. I forget what the author's name is, Susan something, but they were really good books too. However, not everything has to be reading for fun. There are some important books that I recommend you read for financial literacy. That would be Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, and Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Those are the 3 books that got me started on my financial literacy journey. If you're not big on reading, here are some of my favorite video games that you can play today. There are a lot of platforms that you could play on, and I will link to them down in the description box. The PlayStation 4, there's the Xbox One, there's the Switch, you can play on the PC, you could get a Wii. Here are some of my favorite games that you should play and why. The Witcher. Now this is actually on Netflix right now, and I started playing this video game a long time ago, but The Witcher is a super fun game. It's got a lot of magic in it, a lot of fighting, and it's a great story. Some of the most popular shooters right now include Call of Duty, World War II, and the Black Ops versions. There's also Fortnite and PUBG, the Players Underground Battle or something like that, I forget. Metal Gear Solid is a ton of fun. If you get into games like Red Dead Redemption and things like that, just be forewarned that there are some things in those games that are not politically correct. So if you get super offended by things like that, don't play it. If you really like team games, try League of Legends. I've never played it, but I know a lot of people love that game and never stop playing. There's also games where you can build your own maps like Roblox and Minecraft. And if you have a Wii, probably the only game that you need is Super Smash Brothers to beat the crap out of your friends. Of course, you don't just need to play video games to enjoy your free time. There are lots of skills you could learn as well. For example, there's never been a better time to learn how to paint or draw while you're stuck at home. But one skill that I really recommend you work on while you're stuck in quarantine is your cooking skills. Now, cooking is quite a science, but of course you can just take a bunch of food, throw it into a pot and cook it, and there you go. It's a good way to start. But honestly, I like cooking because I find that it's very relaxing. You know that it was healthy, unless you made it unhealthy, but you have all the control. Obviously, you need to be exercising, and I understand it's not easy to do that, especially if you're stuck in a cold environment, and that's why I've been using teambeachbody.com. You can hop on that link as well, and they have all kinds of exercises there. They have nutrition plans. The one person I really recommend here on YouTube is Yoga with Adriene. I'll link up to her channel as well, but I'm sure there are other instructors out there that maybe will vibe better with you. I also recommend you take some time to learn how to meditate. It's not easy, especially as a Westerner, because we're so used to just thinking all the time, constantly thinking. It's really hard to turn that off. So why do you want to meditate? Well, for one, if you're always in the gym and you're constantly exercising, you're gonna run your body down. That same thing's gonna happen to your mind. Number two is that when you come out of meditation, you're going to be a lot more clear on what you want to do in life. You will find that you're much more calm, you're much more focused, and you're not paying attention to things that aren't necessarily important to what's impacting your everyday life.
Over and under, covered in light.
And the last thing I would recommend you do during quarantine is, if you are stuck in your house with your partner, is that you bone down. I'm joking a little bit, but seriously, you're gonna be stuck in a house. It's gonna be super difficult to be crammed together with people. You need to spend time thinking about that and the other person. So if you have a partner, make sure you spend a little bit of time romancing them. Maybe try some new things since you're stuck in the house all day together. This is gonna be really good for your health. It keeps your stamina up. It makes sure you're burning energy, and it reminds your body that you're still alive and that you have a reason to live on through this quarantine that might be otherwise shutting down your internals. I have two videos you need to check out. This one up here is going to point you to the video where I talk about nomad life during a pandemic and what I'm doing, how I'm handling it. This one down here will show you how to make money while traveling and how I've done it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Peace.